Chapter 5. This chapter contains 6 sections. Chapter 5 Section 1 Puruvansh. The lineage of Puru grew as Puru Yanmayaya Prachima Pravir Manasya Abhayat Sudayu Bahugat Sanyatya Hamyati Raudrashva. Raudrashva had 10 sons, among whom Riteshu was the most prominent. Riteshu had 3 sons, among whom Apratirath was most prominent. Lineage of Apratirath is as follows: Apratirath, Ilin, Dushyant and Bharat. King Dushyant had fallen in love with Shakuntala, the daughter of sage Vishwamitra and elf Menaka. They got married secretly in the forest, and after a few days, King Dushyant returned to his kingdom, promising Shakuntala that he would call her as soon as he reached his palace. He had given Shakuntala his ring as a memento. But while Shakuntala was crossing the river on her way to the palace, the ring slipped from her finger and was swallowed by a fish. In the absence of the ring, King Dushyant refused to identify Shakuntala. So, she returned to the hermitage of sage Vishwamitra and gave birth to a child who later on became famous as Bharat. Bharat had been very progressive since his childhood. His first meeting with King Dushyant was also very dramatical. It is said that once King Dushyant was hunting in the forest and he saw a boy who was counting the teeth of a lion. Impressed by the bravery of the boy, the king inquired about his parentage and reached the hermitage, where sage Vishwamitra narrated him the whole story. Meanwhile, a fisherman had also recovered the ring from the fish and handed it to the king, who had thus recalled the whole story. In the hermitage, King Dushyant came to see Shakuntala and he candidly accepted her and his son Bharat. Bharat had 3 queens and 9 children. Since none of the children resembled him in features, he expressed his doubts about their paternity. Fearing the wrath of Bharat, his queens killed all the children. Then, with the desire to have a son, Bharat organized a Marutsoma Yagya. As a result, he got Bharadwaj as his son. Bharadwaj's second name was Vithat. His lineage grew as follows: Vithat Manu. Manu had many sons like Brihatkshetra, Mahavir, Nara, Garg, etc. Their lineage grew as follows: Nara, Sanskriti, Gurupriti and Ranti Dev. Garg had a son Shini, who became famous as Gargya, and Shanya also. Mahavir lineage is as follows: Durukshetra, Yaruni, Pushkarinya and Kapi. In the lineage of Brihatkshetra occurred a king Hasti, who founded the city of Hastinapur. Hasti had 3 sons: Ajmer, Dvijmer and Purumid. Among the sons of Ajmer were included Panchals and a daughter Ahilya. Ahilya was married to sage Gautam. They had a son Shatanand. Satyagriti was the son of Shatanand. Once Satyagriti happened to sight the extremely amorous and beautiful elf Urvashi. Her mere sight was enough to cause the ejaculation of his semen, which fell on a reed and divided into 2 parts. From these 2 parts were born a boy Krip and a girl Kripi. King Shantanu discovered Krip and Kripi in the forest and brought them to his palace. In later course, Kripi was married to Dronacharya, the teacher of Kauravas and Pandavas. Ashwathama was the son of Dronacharya. One of the king named Kuru in the lineage of Ajmer established the sacred region of Kurukshetra. Chapter 5 Section 2 Description of Kuru Vansh. In the lineage of Kuru, there occurred a king Pratip. He had 3 sons: Devapi, Shantanu, and Vahilik. Devapi had taken an abode in the forest in his childhood. Hence Shantanu came to become a king after their father Pratip. Once in the kingdom of King Shantanu, there was no rainfall for 12 years at length. Perplexed by the continuous drought-like situation, Shantanu consulted learned Brahmins. Brahmins informed him that he had no genuine right on the kingdom, which in fact belonged to his brother Devapi. They also told him that as long as Devapi was not fallen from his supreme position, the drought would continue. Alternatively, handing over the kingdom to Devapi might also result in the end of the drought. Then Shantanu's minister Ashmasari appointed certain Brahmins who always spoke in anti-Vedas ways. Their continuous preaching disinclined Devapi's mind from Vedas. On the other hand, one day, King Shantanu proceeded towards the forest along with Brahmins and his courtiers to hand over the kingdom to Devapi. There the Brahmins tried to convince Devapi to accept the onus of the kingdom. They were citing anecdotes from the Vedas to corroborate their argument. But Devapi criticized Vedas and spoke in anti-religious ways. At that, Brahmins instructed the king to return to the kingdom, as there was no use to convince Devapi. They also assured Shantanu that since Devapi had been disinclined from Vedas, he had lost his right to the kingdom and the famine would also come to an end. Shantanu's younger brother Vahalik had a son Somadutta. Bhuri, Bhurashrava and Shalya were the sons of Somadutta. In later course, Shantanu got married to Ganga and had a son Bhishma. From his second wife Satyavati, Shantanu had two sons Chitrangad and Vichitravirya. Chitrangad was killed by a Gandharva, whereas younger Vichitravirya was married to the princesses of Kashi, Ambika, and Ambalika. He was so busy in carnal pleasures with his two wives that soon he contracted tuberculosis and died because of it. Despite their indulgence in carnal pleasures, Ambika and Ambalika could not bear a child from Vichitravirya. Hence, in order to continue their lineage, Satyavati inspired Ambika and Ambalika to appear naked before Vedavyasa and beget a child. Since Ambika closed her eyes while she appeared naked before Vedavyasa, she begot a blind son, Dhritarashtra. Similarly, Ambalika grew pale when she appeared naked before Vedavyasa. Hence she begot a son Pandu who was congenitally afflicted with jaundice. Not satisfied by the outcome, Satyavati once again persuaded Ambika and Ambalika to appear naked before Vedavyasa. But the queen sent a maidservant Vinita before Vedavyasa. Vinita appeared naked before Vedavyasa without any fear or shyness. Hence she begot an extremely wise son Vidur. In later course, Dhritarashtra got married to Gandhari, the princess of Kandhar, whereas Pandu received two wives, Kunti, the daughter of Shursen, and Madri, the princess of Madra. Dhritarashtra had 100 sons and a daughter Dushala. Duryodhan was the eldest among the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. Pandu, on the other hand, had 5 sons, among whom Yudhishthira was the eldest. All the 5 sons of Pandu were born with the help of 5 gods: Dharma, Vayu, Indra and Ashwini Kumars, because Pandu was carrying a curse that he would die if he ever tried to copulate. Pandu's 5 sons Yudhishthir, Bhima, Arjun, Nakul and Sahadev came to be known as Pandavas. 5 Pandavas were married to Draupadi, the daughter of Panchal king Drupad. From Draupadi each of the Pandavas had a son. Their names were Prativindya from Yudhishthir, Shrutsen from Bhima, Shrutkirti from Arjun, Shrutanik from Nakul and Shrutkarma from Sahadev. Besides them, Yudhishthir had a son Devak from Yaudhei. From Hidimba, Bhima had a son Ghatotkach, and from Kashi a son Sarvak. From Vijaya, Sahadev had a son Suhotra, whereas from Renumati, Nakul had a son Nirmitra. Arjun was the most prowessive among the Pandavas. Apart from Draupadi, he had 3 more wives: Zulupi, who belonged to the Nagas, Chitrangada, the princess of Manipur, and Subhadra, the sister of Lord Krishna. From these 3 wives Arjun had 3 sons, Irava from Ulupi, Vabhruvahan from Chitrangada and Abhimanyu from Subhadra. In the battle of Mahabharata all these sons of the Pandavas fought valiantly and sacrificed their lives. It was Abhimanyu's son Parikshit who continued the lineage of Pandavas and ruled the earth till right now. Chapter 5 Section 3 Incarnation of Lord Krishna. Vasudeva, the son of Shursen, was married to Devaki, the daughter of Devak. On that occasion of their marriage, Devaki's cousin Kasa was driving their chariot. At that time, a celestial voice declared that the 8th son of Devaki would kill Kasa. Kasa in the excitement was ready to kill Devaki then and there, but Vasudeva convinced him, saying that he would himself hand over all his children to him. Thus assured by Vasudeva, Kasa dropped the idea of killing Devaki. When the marriage of Vasudeva and Devaki was taking place, Prithvi approached Brahma in the guise of a cow. She complained to Brahma that population of mean-minded people was increasing and that she was not more able to bear the burden of their anti-religious deeds. Prithvi said, O Lord, the same demon Kalnemi whom Lord Vishnu had killed in his previous birth has taken incarnation of Kasa, the son of Ugrasen. Many other fearsome demons Arisht, Dhenuk, Keshi, Pralamb, Sunda, Banasura and many more have taken over the rule and tormenting the religious people in many ways. They keep million-strong forces. I am unable to bear their burden. So kindly do something to get me rid of this burden. Hearing the words of Prithvi, Brahma said to the gods, Prithvi speaks the truth. Indeed, she is carrying too much burden. Let us all go to the shore of Kshirosagar and pray Lord Vishnu and intimate him about all this matter. Then, accompanied by the gods, Brahma arrived at the coast of Kshirosagar and prayed Lord Vishnu. Pleased by their prayer, Lord Vishnu appeared before them in his universal form and said, Brahmaji, believe my words and be assured that whatever you and these gods desire shall realize. Thus assured by the Lord, all the gods and Brahma prayed once again. Pleased by their prayer, Lord Vishnu plucked a black and a white hair from his head and said, both these hair of mine shall take incarnation on earth and remove the miseries that the people face there. All of you take partial incarnation on earth to attenuate the strength of the demons. This black hair of mine shall take birth as the 8th son of Devaki and kill Kasa, who is a reincarnation of Kalnemi. While this conversation was on, Devarshi Narad appeared before Kasa and informed him that Lord Vishnu would take birth as the 8th son of Devaki. Hearing the words of Narad, Kasa angrily put Vasudeva and Devaki behind the bars. There in his abode, Lord Vishnu instructed Mahamaya, personified illusion, to implant the 6 fetuses who were in Patal in the womb of Devaki, one by one. He knew that all of them would be killed by Kasa. Then he instructing Mahamaya to implant his part Shesha, who would appear as the 7th issue of Devaki, in the womb of Rohini, the second wife of Vasudeva, so that he could appear as her son instead of Devaki's. Lord instructed Mahamaya to appear in the womb of Yashoda in Gokul, while he himself would appear as the 8th issue of Devaki. He also told Mahamaya that he would take birth on the 8th day of the darker phase in the month of Bhadrapad, while she would take birth on the 9th day, and that immediately after his birth, Vasudeva would himself carry him to Gokul, and leaving me beside Yashoda, he would carry her back to Mathura. Chapter 5 Section 4 Appearance of Lord in Devaki's womb. As per the dictate of Lord Vishnu, Yogamaya implanted 6 fetuses in the womb of Devaki. All the 6 children were killed by Kasa immediately after their birth. Yogamaya transplanted the seventh issue of Devaki into the womb of Rohini, who was residing at that time in Gokul. Then Lord himself appeared as the eighth issue of Devaki. Since the time of his arrival, radiance of Devaki increased manifold. At the same time, Yogamaya also appeared as an issue of Yashoda in Gokul. Seeing the arrival of Lord himself as the eighth issue of Devaki, the gods prayed him with devotion. Then on the eighth day in the darker phase of Bhadrapad, Lord took birth. At the time of his birth, the wind suspended its motion. The rivers attained extremely purified state, whereas dense clouds gathered in the sky and caused drizzling. Seeing the child born with auspicious swastik mark on his chest, Vasudeva recognized him and prayed him. At the same time, he and Devaki also feared that Kasa would kill their eighth son also. So, they prayed the Lord to hide his divine appearance. Lord assured them that their ordeals would end soon. Then Vasudeva put the child in a vineyard and started his journey on foot to Gokul, carrying the vineyard on his head. Because of the influence of Yogamaya, all the guards fell asleep while the gates of the prison opened automatically. It was raining heavily at that time. So when Vasudeva reached in the open, Sheshnag spread its hood over him to shade the Lord from rain. In Gokul, Nanda's wife Yashoda too gave birth to a girl child, but because of Yogamaya's influence she did not know anything about the birth. Vasudeva arrived there and putting Lord beside the sleeping Yashoda, he took her baby and returned to his prison in Mathura. As soon as the baby reached in the prison, she began to cry loudly. Her cries awakened the guards, who ran to inform Kasa about the child's birth. Kasa at once arrived there and snatching the baby from Devaki's lap, he dashed her on the wall. But before he could throw the baby, she slipped from his grip and taking eight-armed Jagdamba's appearance, established in the air. Laughing loudly then, Mother Jagdamba said, "O Kasa, you cannot kill me. Your killer has taken birth. Lord Hari had been your death in your previous births. In this birth also he will kill you. So from now on, make efforts for your benefit only." Saying this, Jagdamba vanished. Worried by the words of Yogamaya, Kasa called a meeting of his prominent demons and said, "These evil gods have hatched a conspiracy to kill me. But being a brave man, I do not take these gods into account. You have yourself witnessed how Indra fled before the shower of my arrows. You would also remember how the clouds rained heavily in my kingdom when Indra had forbidden them from raining on a kingdom and I had pierced them with my arrows. All the things on earth except my father-in-law Jarasandha bow before me in fear. I don't care for the gods. Even their efforts to kill me make me laugh. But still I must not take the word of Jagdamba lightly that my killer had taken birth. We should therefore kill all the children who have taken birth within the past few days." Instructing the demons, Kasa approached Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison and released them, apologizing his cruel action in the way of killing their innocent children. Chapter 5 Section 5 Killing of Putana and Salvation of Other Demons. When Vasudeva was released from the prison, Nand visited Mathura on some official trip. He also came to see Vasudeva. Vasudeva greeted him for the birth of a son and instructed him to return to Gokul as soon as possible. He also requested Nanda to look after the son of Rohini as his own son. After meeting Vasudeva when Nanda was returning, many kinds of thoughts were disturbing him. In the Gokul while Nanda was away, an ogress Putana had stolen the little Krishna in the night and was breastfeeding him with her poisoned milk. But little Krishna sucked even her life through her breast. Making a loud noise and assuming a huge body, Putana fell on earth and died. Only then the village folk came to know about the incident. They also saw little Krishna sitting in the lap of Putana. The frightened Yashoda swept little Krishna with the tail of a cow to do away with all the bad omens. The other cowherds also prayed Lord Vishnu to protect the child from all calamities. Killing of Shaka. When Lord Krishna was 27 days old, a festival was organized in Gokul. Mata Yashoda bathed the baby while the Brahmins recited hymns. Yashoda saw that baby was feeling sleepy, so putting him in a cradle, she left it under a cart. The cart was loaded with pitchers of milk, curd and butter. After some time, Lord Krishna awoke and began to cry for a feed. But amidst festivities, Yashoda could not hear his cries. Meanwhile, a demon Shakatasur rode the cart wishing to press the cart and thereby kill the Lord. But before he could act, the Lord touched the cart with his feet and lo and behold, the cart turned over and all the utensils kept on it came crashing down. Even the demon was crushed to death under the cart. Other boys, who were playing nearby, informed the gopis, ladies folk, that the little Kanhaiya had turned over the loaded cart, but they did not believe the kids. Yashoda ran in horror and lifted the baby in her lap. The Brahmins recited pacifying hymns then. Thereafter the baby was bathed again with sanctified water. A feast of Brahmins followed then. Ultimately they were seen off with many gifts. Salvation of Trinavrat. Once Mata Yashoda was playing with the baby Lord in her home. All of a sudden she felt as if the baby was getting disproportionately heavy. Soon, she felt herself unable to bear the child anymore. So she left the child on the ground and began to pray Purushottam Lord Rama. Soon afterwards she forgot about the event, but all was not over yet. Trinavarat, a demon minister of Kasa, had arrived in Gokul as a fierce cyclone. He covered entire Gokul with dust and blinded the people temporarily. For a moment people could not see anything, and during that moment Trinavrat blew the baby in air with him. When the dust settled, Yashoda did not find the baby Krishna where she had left him. She felt extremely sorry and fell on ground in depression. Other women folk also gathered round her. They too began to cry not seeing baby Krishna there. In the form of cyclone, the demon Trinavrat had blown baby Krishna with him, but he too could not bear his heavy burden. So he began to lose his velocity. Lord Krishna caught him by neck. The demon died in a few moments and his dead body fell in Braj. And Yashoda got a new lease of life when she saw baby Krishna safe and sound. Nand and other Gopas too were overjoyed. Naming of Lord Krishna. Once, the supreme ascetic Gargacharya arrived in Gokul. He was the ancestral teacher of Yaduvanshish. Nand joyfully welcomed and treated the hermit. Then he requested him to carry out the ritual of naming and suggest suitable names for both of his sons. Acharya Garg said, "O Nand, everyone knows that I am the ancestral teacher of the Yadavas. If I carry out the naming ritual for these boys, people will understand that they are Devaki's sons." So Nand requested Gargacharya to name his sons secretly. Gargacharya accepted his request and carried out the naming ritual secretly in Nand's cattle shed. Garg said, "This son of Rohini will cause by his virtue great pleasures for his near and dear ones. So his second name will be Rama. And because of excessive strength, people will call him as Bala also. Since he will unite the people also, so one of his names would be Sankarshan." Thereafter, Garg said, pointing to Yashodanandan, "He has taken incarnation in every age. In the past ages, He had taken white, red and yellow complexions respectively. This time he has taken dark complexion, so he will be known as Krishna. Once he has been the son of Vasudeva, so people will call him as Vasudeva also. He will cause salvation of all of you, and great joy for the fellow gopas and cows. With his help, you will overcome even the severe crises. O Nand, this boy will be equal to Narayana in virtues, wealth, beauty, fame and influence. Foster this child with care and earnestness. Thus naming the boys as per their virtues, Garg returned to his hermitage. Childhood of Lord Krishna. The time passed in Gokul as usual. Balrama and Krishna too grew normally. Soon they began to walk on knees and palms. With their childish plays they both amused men and women folk of Gokul. Everyone took special care of them and looked after them to save them from any possible danger. Ladies folk were especially careful about them. Soon afterwards, both the kids began to walk trottingly. Now their movement no longer confined within the boundary of their home. Because of his special virtues, Krishna began to lead other kids of his age group, whereas his elder brother Balram was somewhat serious in nature. Krishna specially enjoyed teasing the girls and milkmaids of Gokul. Often he would eat stealing their milk, curd and butter. At other times, he did not hesitate even to break their pitchers. In such situations the ladies folk used to gather in Nanda's home to complain against Krishna. And every time Yashoda promised them to punish Krishna. But every time, when she proceeded to punish him, she forgot everything before his sweet, innocent smile. One day, Balram complained against Krishna. "Ma, the little Kanhaiya has eaten mud." Worried about Krishna's health, Yashoda scolded at him. "Tell me, O mischievous Krishna, why did you eat mud?" At that moment, little Krishna's eyes were moving with fear. He made an excuse. "No ma, I have not eaten any mud. They are telling you a lie. If you don't believe me, see yourself." Saying this, Krishna opened his little mouth. Yashoda peeped into his mouth and what she saw there amazed her. She could not believe it. The entire universe was visible in his little mouth. Yashoda saw strange places, entire Braj and even herself in the little mouth of Krishna. She felt dizzy. With his illusionary powers, Lord wiped out the memory of this incident from the mind of Yashoda, and she again immersed in love with her child. Ukhal Bandhan and salvation of Yamal Arjun. Once, wishing to feed Krishna with butter, Yashoda began to churn milk in the morning. Very soon, Krishna too awakened and not finding the mother on her bed, he set out to search her. Soon he found her in the courtyard where she was churning the milk. He began to insist for breastfeeding at once. So Yashoda stopped churning and began to breastfeed Krishna. Affection played on her face. Suddenly the milk kept on the fire pot began to boil. Yashoda left Krishna in order to attend the boiling milk. But the unstated Krishna filled with anger and broke the pitcher of curd. Then he went inside and began to eat butter. When Yashoda came back, she understood the matter and began to search him with a stick in her hand. After eating butter himself, Krishna was now feeding the monkeys with it. Seeing the mother come in hot pursuit, Krishna jumped over the mortar and ran away. Yashoda chased him, but soon felt tired because of her bulky body. Thereafter, Yashoda proceeded to tie Krishna as a punishment. She got a rope and tried to tie Krishna. But the rope fell short by 2 fingers. She joined many ropes together but the result was same. Every time the ropes fell short by 2 fingers. Soon, Yashoda was bathing in sweat. When Krishna saw his mother in depression, he himself tied in the ropes. Tethering little Krishna to a heavy mortar, Yashoda engaged in usual household tasks. Tethered to the mortar, Krishna glanced at the two Arjun trees, which were standing on the gate like two sentries. He resolved to salve them. Maitreya asked Prashar about the trees. Prashar said, the Lord of Wealth Kuber had two sons, Nal Kubarya and Manigriv. One day they were enjoying the sweet company of pretty women on the bank of Mandakini river. Just by coincidence, Devarshi Narad arrived there. Out of shyness, the women folk at once covered themselves. But both the sons of Kuber stood boldly without feeling any shame. Indignant Narad cursed them to become trees and stay in that form for 100 years. Narad showed kindness as well, that despite being in tree forms, they would have the memory of God alive and would be salved by Lord Shri Krishna. Thus, to keep the words of his supreme devotee Narad, Lord dragged the mortar to the two Arjun trees. He walked in such a way that the mortar got stuck between the trees. Krishna then pulled the mortar and in no time the trees were uprooted. Two divine men appeared from the uprooted trees and bowed at the feet of Krishna and prayed him with pure hearts. Then they departed to their heavenly abode. Migration to Vrindavana. The uprooted Arjun trees fell with thundering sound. All the people shivered with fear and felt as if lightning had struck somewhere. All the elders including Nand met together and discussed the matter. Unanimously they concluded that of late disturbance had increased in Gokula and the circumstances were no longer conducive to raise the kids like Balram and Krishna there. So they unanimously decided to leave Gokul and migrate to a verdant place named Vrindavana. In their opinion, Vrindavana had ample vegetation and fertility to support them and their cattle. Thus, on an auspicious day, the entire population of Gokul set out for Vrindavana. They packed their households on bullock carts and drove their cattle in herds and started in convoy. In Vrindavana they built their houses and started their life once again. Prashar says, the verdant environment of Vrindavana, Govardhan mountain and crystal clear waters and sandy banks of Yamuna river together filled the hearts of Balram and Krishna with joy. Along with the fellow cowherds, they began diverse kinds of plays there. Salvation of Vatsasur. One day, Balram and Krishna were grazing their cattle on the bank of Yamuna river. A demon, meanwhile, took the guise of a calf and mixed with the herd. Obviously, he had malicious intentions. Lord Krishna had already seen the demon taking calf's guise and mixing up with the herd. He signaled Balram and they together reached near the calf. The calf appeared particularly healthy, so Krishna and Balaram mockingly saw it with admiring eyes. Suddenly they held the calf with its hind legs and tail, twirling it in air they threw it in the sky. When the demon died, they threw him on a wood apple tree. Salvation of Bakasur. One day, all the cowherds took their cattle to a large pond to let them drink water. There they saw a huge creature sitting like a hillock on the bank. They were frightened by its appearance. The creature was in fact a demon named Bakasur who had arrived there in the guise of a stork. He was himself very strong and had a long pointed bill. As soon as the cowherds drew near him, the stork hastily picked up Krishna and swallowed him. Other cowherds including Balaram were stupefied. They could not believe their eyes. But inside the beak, Lord Krishna made him extremely hot and caused severe burning in demon's throat. So the demon could not swallow Krishna and regurgitated him, and began to hit him with his strong beak. But Lord held his beak with both his hands and tore the demon's mouth apart. And as soon as the demon died, a ripple of joy surged among the cowherds. Salvation of Aghasur. One day, Krishna planned a picnic near Nandanvan. So rising early in the morning, he awakened his fellow cowherds sounding a horn. Together, all the cowherds and their cattle went to the forest. There, on the bank of Yamuna river, they began to play joyfully. Nandanvan was in fact an abode of the demon Aghasur. Kansa had sent him there. Seeing the boys playing, he felt extremely jealous. Knowing that Krishna had killed his brother Bakasurya and sister Putna, it seemed an ideal moment for the demon to avenge the death of his siblings. Thinking thus, the demon took guise of python and lay in the way and opening his mouth like an opening of a cave. The cowherds too fell in his trap. Thus driven by curiosity, all the cowherds entered the demon mouth one by one. When Lord Krishna saw that his friends had entered demon's mouth, he too entered it to protect them. Aghasur wanted to masticate the cowherds including Lord Krishna, but the Lord increased his body and choked demon throat. Now the breath of demon stopped. His eyes rolled over and at last his life left his body through Brahmarandhara, cosmic pore. With his ambrosial eye, Lord resurrected these dead fellows and their cattle and together they came out of the demon's mouth. As soon as the demon died, a divine flame emerged from the python's mouth. It waited there some time for God. And when Lord Krishna came out, the flame mingled with him. Attachment of Brahma, stealing of cattle and cowherds. Prashar says, the cowherds told the tale of Aghasur's salvation to their parents only after a year of the incidents. During that period of 1 year, Lord Krishna multiplied himself and took the guise of his fellow cowherd and their stock of cattle to remove the illusion of Brahma, who was the cause of the following incidents. After Aghasur's life mingled with God, Lord Krishna came with his fellow cowherd on the bank of Yamuna. They left their cattle to graze freely and they sat together to take their lunch. All of the cowherds tasted one another's food, as they wanted to feed Krishna with the tasty food. Meanwhile, surprised by Aghasur's salvation, Brahma too had arrived there and saw Krishna eating food defiled by the cowherds. With that sight, Brahma grew suspicious if Krishna was indeed an incarnation of Lord. Thus driven by the illusion and to test the authenticity of Lord's incarnation, Brahma kidnapped all the cattle first, and when Krishna went out to search the cattle, Brahma kidnapped and concealed the cowherds also. Soon Lord Krishna understood the craftiness of Brahma, so he multiplied himself into his fellow cowherds and cattle. Replicas resembled truly to the cowherds in appearance, complexion, nature, activities, voice, sticks and even in costumes. The replicas remain in existence for complete 1 year. Back there, when Brahma returned after hiding the cowherds and the cattle, he was stunned to see the cowherds and cattle as usual. Brahma was feeling dizzy when Lord bestowed his grace on him. Brahma saw Narayana in every dust particle. Brahma therefore bowed his head at the feet of Lord and said, O Lord, I submit before you. You can be won only with devotion and not by ego. No one can know your omnipresent appearance. Thus praying and worshipping Lord Narayana, Brahma returned to his abode. The cowherds remained separated from God for 1 year. But they felt as if only half a second had passed because of the illusionary influence of God. That is why they related the incidents of Aghasur's killing to their parents only after a year it took place. Salvation of Dhenukasur. When Krishna and Balaram entered 6th year of their ages, They got the permission to take the cattle out for grazing. Along with their fellow cowherds, the two brothers too began to take their cattle to Vrindavana. Thus they sanctified the earth of Vrindavana with their pious feet. Seeing the beauty of Vrindavana, with beautiful, colorful flowers and sweet fruits, Lord Krishna felt overjoyed. He then used to graze his cattle at the foothills of Govardhan and on the banks of Yamuna river. Playing flute was his favorite pastime. One day Krishna's beloved friend Sudama said, "Kanhaiya, there is a beautiful forest named Talvana. It has uncountable numbers of trees laden with ripe fruits. But a formidable demon Dhenukasur guards that forest. He is very strong. So no one goes there, even animals and birds shun that place. But we are tempted to eat those sweet delicious fruits. If you and thou, Balram, wish, we may go there and eat those delicious fruits." Thus hearing this, Krishna and Balaram guided all of them to Talvana. There they shook the trees and in no time a heap of ripe, delicious fruits gathered under the trees. All the cowherds began to eat fruits. While eating, they were also making lot of noises. Disturbed by the sound of fruits falling and noise of the cowherds, the demon Dhenukasura arrived there as a donkey. He was braying loudly and tried to hit Balram, but Balrama caught him by his hind legs and threw him in the air. The demon died in an instant. Since that day, everyone visited Talvana fearlessly and the cattle grazed there freely. Grace on Kali the Naga. One day, Balakrishna arrived on the banks of Yamuna with their friends. Balram was not with them that day. The water of the river Yamuna was intoxicated by the poison of Kali the Naga. It was exceptionally hot that day and all the cowherds and cattle were very thirsty. So without giving any thought, they all drank the water from Yamuna and died. But Lord Krishna resurrected them by his ambrosial sight. Then Lord Krishna decided to purify the waters of Yamuna. Thus tying a cloth round his waist, Krishna climbed a kadamba tree and jumped into the river. In the water the Lord started playing and splashing water. Soon the waves began to rise high. When Kali the Naga heard the noise, he got extremely angry and appeared before Krishna. He saw a beautiful, tender, dark-complexioned boy playing joyfully in the waters. He stung him and tied him in his spirals. Tied in the spirals of Kali, Lord became absolutely motionless. Seeing Krishna in death-like situation, all the cowherds and even the cows felt very sorry. Just then Lord freed himself from the hold of Kali. Then a game of hide and seek began between them. Lord dodged the Naga for a long time. Thereafter he rode on Kali's hood and began to dance there. The followers of God, like Gandharvas etc., began to play mridang, dhol etc. to give him a company. Tired from the blows of Lord's feet, Kali soon began to vomit blood. Naga's wives began to pray God, "O Lord, your incarnation is to punish the evil ones for their sins. You have shown your grace on us also. We are fortunate to have a sight and touch of your feet. Pity, O Lord. This Naga can no longer bear your momentum. He will die. We are all your slaves. Kali is our Lord. Kindly forgive him." With kindness, Lord released Kali, who prayed thus, "O Lord, in your creation we snakes represent tamoguna, dark virtues. We are confused by your illusions. Lord dictated Kali to migrate with his family to Ramanakadweep. Since then water of Yamuna became pure for humans and animals. Drinking of the Vanal, forest fire." After defeating Kali, Lord Krishna and all other people of Braj felt extremely tired. They were very hungry and thirsty also. So they did not go back to Vrindavana, but stayed on the bank of Yamuna in the night. Because of intense heat of summer, surrounding forests had been shriveled. At midnight those shriveled forests caught fire and the sleeping people were engulfed by it. They awakened startled and took shelter at Krishna. Seeing their horrified appearance, Lord Krishna drank the infernal forest fire and thus saved the lives of innocent people who had rested their lives at him with faith. Salvation of Pralambasur. One day, Balram and Krishna were playfully grazing their cattle along with other cowherds in the forests, when a demon Pralamba arrived there with an intention of kidnapping Krishna and Balram. The demon had come in the guise of a cowherd, but the god easily recognized him. They accepted his proposal of friendship, but were thinking about the way for his salvation. God thereafter summoned all his friends and said, "Pals, today we shall divide ourselves into 2 teams and play joyfully." Thus the teams were divided and each team chose Krishna and Balaram as its captain respectively. It was stipulated that the members of defeated team would carry the members of winner team on their back up to the place pointed by them. Thus the game began and soon both the teams reached a secluded place. At one time, the team headed by Balaram won. So the members of Krishna's team were to carry them on their back. Demon Pralambasur offered Balaram a ride on his back. Balaram agreed to ride on the demon's back, but as soon as he rode on the demon's back, the demon galloped. But he could not go far for not being able to bear Balaram's weight. Then the demon regained his huge formidable size and tried to escape by flying. First Balaram felt terrorized, but soon he realized his real powers and hit on the demon's head with a powerful fist. The blow shattered demon's head and he fell on earth dead like a huge mountain. Prashar says, most of the time of Lord Krishna's boyhood passed in Vrindavana. There he grazed cattle and played flute. His flute had a divine, enchanting sound. The gopis used to gather around him drawn by the enchanting tunes. They also heard the enchanting Venu Geet that fills one's hearts with the memory of Bhagavat. One of the girls said to her friend, "Oh dear friend, having the privilege of seeing Lord's beauty and receiving his kindness is the real salvation." Another girl said, "Oh friend, what penance this flute had observed that it has got a closer contact with lips of Nandanandan, an epithet for Krishna. Even the siblings of this flute, trees and other vegetations are pleased with its fortune and are hence showering their leaves and flowers on him." One more said, "Oh friend, look, even Bhagavati Lakshmi has left her luxurious abode in Vaikuntha and arrived in Vrindavana to have a look of Lord Devaki Nandan." A gopi expressed her jealousy. "Even this doe is better than us. Oh friends, look how engrossed is she looking at God that her eyes are not blinking." Hearing the sweet enchanting tunes of flute, even the heavenly elves gather in the sky over Vrindavana. They also see the beauty of Lord Krishna and showered the flowers of their braids on him. Even the cows forgot grazing when then heard the enchanting music of flute. The calves too forgot drinking milk and began to look at Lord Krishna with joy. This is the real devotion for Lord Krishna. You have to forget yourself in order to find him. Condition of girls of Vrindavana was exactly the same. After having the sight of Lord Krishna, they remembered nothing, not even the way back to home. They stood in the forests in a trance, completely tired, unaware of their self. A girl said, pointing to the fauna, "Look, oh friends, look at these birds. Do you know that these birds were the saints and sages in their previous births? In this birth also they are sitting in a state of trance. Look, they have forgotten their knowledge hearing the sweet enchanting music of the flute. And look at Yamuna. She is also unable to contain her exhilaration. She is eagerly splashing her waves to wash Lord's feet. Yet another girl said, "Look, friends, the clouds cannot see their Lord scorching in the sun. So they have covered the sun and shaded Lord Krishna. Now they are drizzling as if showering petals." A girl said, "Friends, look, these Pilanis are better than us. They have such a strong urge of Krishna's side that when Govind returns home, they smear their body with dusts of his feet. Blessed is this mountain which has dedicated its entire self in the feet of Brajnandan and feels overjoyed. It is his supreme devotee. Kanhaiya has infused even non-living things with life by his sweet tunes of flute." Stealing of clothes. The unmarried girls of Vrindavana felt as if their lives were dedicated to Lord Krishna. Each of them wished heartily to have Lord Krishna as her husband. So in order to get their desire fulfilled, all of the spinster girls of Braj began to take bath in Yamuna early in morning of Hemant season and worshipped goddess Katyayani. When Madan Mohan learned that the unmarried girls wished to marry him, he went to see them at dawn. The girls were bathing naked in the river, their clothes were kept on the bank. Lord Krishna stealthily took those clothes and climbed on a kadamba tree. Lord had not stolen their clothes with malicious intentions. He had stolen them to remove their flaws and make them realize their real appearance, that they were not mere girls, but pure souls. Without realization of the real self, one cannot experience the God. The girls were, in fact, the hymns of Vedas, sadhana, siddhis, sages and Brahmavidyas. Vedas, themselves, that took the guise of girls to enjoy the vicinity of God. God removed their clothes that symbolized lust. Because of the Lord's grace, they all were able to enjoy God's company. Prashar says, "O Maitreya, thus Lord Krishna removed the shyness of the girls of Braj through his sweet talks. He derided at them, made them dance like puppets, and even stole their clothes when they were bathing naked. But they did not deter his actions. Instead, they felt overjoyed by the close presence of their beloved Kanha." Lifting of Govardhan. Prashar says, "One day, Balram and Krishna saw that many delicious kind of sweetmeats were being cooked at home. With curiosity and politeness, they asked Nand and other elders, 'Father, which festival are you preparing for? Which god will be worshipped? What purpose will such worship serve?' Nand Baba explained, 'Sons, Devraj Indra is the god of clouds. It is because of Indra's grace that we get rain. So these materials are being prepared to worship Indra.' Krishna said, 'Father, every creature in the world enjoys comforts or suffers as per his fate. None of the gods can change the results. Action is primary in the world. One gets the results as per his actions. Even Indra is God as a result of his action. Anyone who performs 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas becomes Indra. But even after performing crores of Ashwamedh Yagyas, one cannot stay in Braj. It is the duty of Indra to cause rain. So it will rain even if you don't worship Indra. But to feed the poor and satisfy them with clothes and other gifts is real worship. By their blessing, we shall be happier. I desire that with all these materials we should worship Giriraj Govardhan and distribute the prasad among the poor, with which their souls will be sated and will have the grace of God." Thus Lord Krishna told his father that all the people should worship unitedly, and unitedly they should receive prasad. "If you are ready to do as per my desire, it's all right. Otherwise I will not worship your haughty god, nor receive his prasad." Worship of Govardhan and indignation of Indra. Thus convinced by Kanhaiya's wise reasoning, all the Gopas agreed to him. Nand Baba said, "O Krishna, we are making all these preparations for you only, and we will do as you say. We will worship Govardhan. For us Govardhan is also like a god. It gives us grass, water, and fuel etc., which are necessary for our lives." Thus with Lord's consent, they dropped their plan to worship Indra and resolved to worship Govardhan faithfully. On the Purnima, full moon, day in the month of Kartik, November, all the Gopas, people of Braj region, gathered near Mount Govardhan. During the night all of them circumambulated the mountain. Lord invoked the Ganges by his wish and bathed Govardhan with her water. Then they put vermilion on it, offered basil leaves, flowers etc. and worshipped it. Brahmins recited hymns in its praise, to make the people believe in their rituals. Lord Krishna himself appeared on the mountain in huge form and exclaimed, "I am Giriraj, the king of the mountain," and began to eat the offerings. But as a child, he was still among the villagers who faithfully bowed before the mountain. Among them, the child Krishna said, "Look, what a surprise! Giriraj has appeared himself and bestowed his grace on us. He has accepted our worship." Thereafter all the Gopas distributed prasad among themselves and felt supremely satisfied. When Indra learned that the Gopas had stopped worshipping him, he grew outrageous. In anger, he ordered the clouds to rain torrentially over Braj and cause heavy flood in Braj region. In no time dense clouds gathered over Braj. Soon there was lightning, thunder, darkness and storm all around. Then it began to rain torrentially. All the people took refuge at Lord Krishna and prayed him to save them from the anger of Indra. Lord Krishna said, "Those who regard me as their are mine and I am theirs, so there is no need to worry for you." Saying this, Lord lifted Giriraj on his little finger and called all the people of Braj along with their cattle under the lee of Govardhan. Then he ordered his wheel Sudarshan to absorb the water of the clouds so that not even a single drop could fall on earth. Thus for 7 days continuously Lord balanced Govardhan on the little finger. Thus Lord Krishna also came to be known as Giridhari. People who had gathered around him just kept on seeing Lord's moon-like face and hence did not feel thirsty or hungry. In fact, the comforts those people got during those 7 days are beyond verbal description. Lord held Govardhan on one hand and conch in the other, while with the remaining 2 hands he began to play this flute. Hearing the tunes of his flute, all the people of Braj began to dance with joy. After the rain stopped, all of them returned to their homes. Ceremonial bath of Sri Krishna. When Indra learned about the happenings in Braj, he soon realized his mistake. Indra himself reached Braj and begged Lord for his pardon. Then he gave Lord a ceremonial bath with the milk of Surabhi. For protecting the cows, the Lord also got one more name, Govind. Ras Leela. Prasha related to Maitreya the tale of Kamdeva's humiliation. The purpose of describing this tale is just that common people should reflect on the selfless love of gopis for Lord Krishna and experience the love of God for them as well. After conquering Brahma and other gods, ego of Kamdev had surged to great heights. He, therefore, requested God to quench his thirst for war. God invited Kamdev to visit Vrindavana on the night of Sharad Purnima, full moon night, in the season that precedes winter, and told him that on that divine night he would enjoy the company of crores of gopis. "If I have slightest passion for any of them, you will win, otherwise you will lose." That night Lord Krishna added more divinity. more brilliance to it with a resolution of ras with the help of Yogmaya, personified illusion. It was a perfect night for the purpose. Flowers bloomed in Vrindavana. Full moon shone, and gentle, cool breeze blew from the banks of river Yamuna. Amidst this stimulating ambience, Lord Krishna began to play an enchanting tune on his flute. The tune attracted gopis. Their passion surged to its zenith, and under the influence of love for Lord Krishna and as if in trance, all of them ran to meet their beloved Kanhaiya, leaving all their fear, bondage, patience and shyness behind. Some of them were intercepted by their husbands and dragged back to home. But only their physical bodies stayed put. Their souls reached Vrindavana. In Vrindavana, on the bank of Yamuna, gopis saw Vrindavana Vihari, epithet for Krishna, near their familiar Kadamba tree. Yogmaya adorned all the gopis from tip to toe. In fact, those gopis were not ordinary women. Maitreya asks, gopis had not regarded Krishna as Parabrahma. What was the basis for their passion then? Prashar says, when a wretched person like Shishupal, who always abused Lord Krishna, could find supreme position, there should be no doubt for gopis who had such a profound passion for Lord. So gopis arrived and gathered around Lord Krishna. To test their devotion and to enhance the honor of Kamdev, Krishna said to them, O gopis, the pure ones, it is not fit for you to stay here at this hour of night. Go and serve your husbands. Your duties must be first to your husbands' children and cows. They will be waiting for you eagerly. Go and console them. You can gain me by hearing, reciting, seeing, etc. You need not sit here. Go to your homes. Gopis, however, said, Govind, we have come to you leaving all the mundane lusts behind. Now going back is like ruining our lives. It is the greatest misfortune if someone returns to mundane affairs even after being at your feet. These words that reflected divine feelings of gopis pleased Lord. He began to enjoy their company. But a feeling of ego began to creep in the minds of gopis because of Lord's closeness. They began to assume themselves as highly fortunate. To remove their ego, Lord disappeared right among them. Pitiable condition of gopis in God's absence. After the disappearance of God, gopis were perplexed. Their hearts burned with desire. They had dedicated their entire selves in the feet of Lord. They were entirely merged in the love of Krishna. Thus driven by passion, gopis began to search Lord Krishna. They asked trees, creepers and vegetation for the whereabouts of their beloved. They then spotted his footprints at one place. Footprints of Radha were also there. Indeed, he would have carried her, that great fortunate one, on his shoulders. They thought. Lord had indeed, after disappearing from amidst gopis, taken Radha to an isolated place. She had then began to think herself superior to other gopis. So at one place, she said, O Lord, I can't walk now. My tender feet are tired. Kindly carry me on your shoulders to wherever you wish. At her request, Lord Krishna agreed to carry her on his shoulder. But as soon as she proceeded to ride, Lord disappeared from there also. Now, Radha began to cry and wail and fainted. At the same time, other gopis also reached there and found Radha lying unconscious on the ground. All of them, including Radha, then returned to the bank of Yamuna and began to wait for Krishna's appearance. Reappearance of Lord among gopis. When the beloved gopis burst into tears, Krishna's patience gave way. His heart melted at their condition and he appeared amidst them. A sweet smile played on his beautiful face. He wore a garland of fresh Vaijayanti flowers and yellow clothes. His beauty could have moved even Kamdev. Seeing their beloved Kanha once again amidst them, gopis got a new lease of life. All of them began to embrace Lord and thus quench the fire of separation that was burning their bodies. Thereafter, along with the beauties of Braj, Lord came to the bank of Yamuna. Gopis put their queries before him for solution. Lord said, O beloved gopis, I do not reciprocate to the desire of my beloved ones for physical love. Because of it their conscience remains always engrossed in me. Hence, I take to hiding even after meeting so that you could feel complete imbibement in me. Maharas. From the words of the Lord, gopis forgot the pains of separation. From the closeness of their beloved, their lives were successful now. With those gopis, Lord Krishna started Maharas on the pious banks of river Yamuna. All the gods gathered in sky to witness that divine festival. Gopis were even more fortunate than Lakshmi. But even amidst crores of gopis, who were eager to devote their everything to him, Lord completely refrained from desires, feelings and even actions. Thus Lord defeated even Kamdeva and removed his ego. Salvation of Sudarshan and Shankakar. Prashar says, once on the occasion of Shivratri, Nand Baba and all other Gopas drove their carts with families and reached Ambikavana on a pilgrimage tour. There they took bath in the river Saraswati and with devotion worshipped Lord Shiva and Parvati. They also observed a day-long fast and decided to pass their night on the bank of Saraswati. But a huge python inhabited that place. During the night the python emerged and caught hold of Nand's leg. Nand Baba cried loudly. All the Gopas gathered around him. He cried again, Kanhaiya, this snake is all set to strangulate me. Save me. Lord touched the python with his feet and instantaneously the python vanished. In its place appeared a divine-looking human being. He said, O Lord, I was a Vidyadhar named Sudarshan. I was so much obsessed with my beauty, youth, luxury and comforts that I used to insult others. One day I had derided at the ugly appearance of the sage Angira. So indignantly he cursed me to become a python. But, pleased by my realization of mistake, he had told that when God himself would touch me, I would regain my original appearance. Thereafter, Sudarshan went round the god, worshipped him and with his permission, departed to his abode. On another occasion, Lord arrived in Vrindavana during Vasant Ritu, spring season. There he took part in Vasantik Ras of spring season, with the gopis. During Ras itself, a demon Shankhchura tried to escape away kidnapping some of the gopis. A stampede resulted among gopis. Hearing their noise, Lord ran after the demon, carrying a huge shaurya tree in his hands. In no time he overtook the demon and killed him by just one blow. He picked up the gem from demon's head and handed it to Balram. Salvation of Arishtasur. Once, Kansa sent a demon Arishtasur to Vrindavana. The demon arrived there in a bull's guise. That huge bull came to Vrindavana and began to terrorize the people with his loud sound. Seeing the bull, Balram said to Krishna, Kanhaiya, I have never seen such a huge bull before. All the people began to cry for help. Lord consoled them and challenged the bull demon. O fool, why are you terrorizing these cows and cowherds? I am going to shatter your ego. The challenge from God pinched the demon. Tapping his hooves angrily, the demon attacked God. He wished to gore him, but God held his horns and pushed him back. Then kicking the demon, God killed him in no time. Kansa sends Akrur. After the killing of Arishtasur, Devarshi Narad visited Kansa and asked, O Kansa, The girl who had slipped from your hand was in fact the daughter of Yashoda. Krishna and Balaram, who are staying in Vrindavana, are in fact the sons of Devaki and Rohini respectively. Because of your fear, Vasudeva has kept them under the supervision of his friend Nand. Those two boys have killed the demons sent by you. Hearing these words, Kansa shook with anger and put Vasudeva and Devaki in prison again. Thereafter he called his minister Akrura and asked him to set out at once for Gokul. He said to Akrura, Akruraji, you are an old friend and well-wisher of mine. Go to Gokul and bring the sons of Vasudeva, who are staying at Nand's home. Invite them to visit Mathura, to witness the festivities of Dhanushagya. Akrura understood Kansa's intentions, but feared that if he refused, that demon would kill him. So he decided to visit Gokul, and also have the opportunity of seeing God. He was feeling overwhelmed by the mere thought of it. Next day, he set out on a grand chariot to meet his Supreme Lord in Gokul. Meditating in the feet of Lord, Akrura was heading towards Vrindavana. He was feeling himself as the most fortunate one, for he was sure to have a sight of Lord. Thus obsessed with many kinds of devotional feelings, Akrura alighted from the chariot at the border of Vrindavana and started walking. He found it unjust to ride a chariot on the land of Vrindavana where Lord Krishna treaded. By the time he reached Vrindavana, Lord Krishna and Balaram had returned home after grazing their cattle. Seeing them, Akrura fell at their feet. Both the brothers raised Akrura and addressed him as Chacha, uncle, and escorted him into the house. Akrura was given a warm welcome and treatment there. After the dinner, they assembled in Nand's drawing room. Nand inquired about the reason of his sudden arrival. Akrura said, Kansa is organizing a wrestling competition in Mathura. He has invited all the big and small kings to the competitions. He has invited you with Krishna and Balaram as well. Beautiful Mathura is worth seeing. Gullible Nand felt pleased by Akrura's talking and said, King Kansa has shown a great honor to me. He has sent invitation only to other kings, but has sent his minister to call me and a golden chariot for my kids. So it was announced in Gokul that all the people would go to Mathura the next day and witness the festivities there. Departure of Krishna Balaram for Mathura. When the gopis heard about Krishna leaving Gokul to visit Mathura, they began to wail and cry. They were getting so much restless by the news that they felt their lives would end before the sunrise. They started imprecating fate that it had no kindness. First it provided them with a closer contact with their beloved Kanha. Now it was causing a long separation from him. Some of gopis even begged for death. They felt it better than living without Kanha. All the gopis kept on crying and wailing night long. Mother Yashoda awoke early in the morning next day. She churned out butter and adding mishri, sugar candies, she took it to Krishna to feed him. But there she found that both Krishna and Balaram were getting ready to set out for Mathura. They held mother's feet and said, Pardon us, O mother, we are going to Mathura. These words disturbed Yashoda. She ran and fell at Akrura's feet and said, I am your slave. O Akrura, please do not take my beloved sons to Mathura. They are inseparable from my heart. Why Kansa has summoned them to Mathura? O Akrura, go and tell him to take everything from us, but spare our sons. We are also ready to live in jail, but can't lose our beloved sons. Akrura consoled Yashoda. Bhabhi, sister-in-law, don't worry. These two brothers are going to Mathura to witness the festivities there and will return soon to comfort your heart. Yashoda said, Akrurji, Mathura is a town of gold and both of my sons are too young yet to be needed there for any reason. Touching the feet of Nand and Yashoda, both the brothers said, Father, Mother, we will definitely return. Presently we wish to see the grandeur of Mathura. Meanwhile all the gopis and gopas had gathered there. Crying and wailing, the gopis said, You are very cruel, O Akrur, who named you as Akrur? You have come here to lacerate our hearts. Second gopi said, No friend, it is not a fault of Akrur. Our complaints are with Shyam Sundar. We left everything, our husbands, children, our homes and dedicated our entire selves in your service. And now you are deserting us so ruthlessly. We have no support for our life except you, O Madhushada. Saying this, all the gopis burst into tears again. All the gopas, including Sri Dama, surrounded the chariot and said, O Krishna, we had not even dreamt that you would desert us so ruthlessly. O Kanhaiya, we have seen with our eyes that even Indra, Varun, Sanakadi and Brahma bow before you. But we have never regarded you as God. We regarded you as our friend. Are you angry with us? O my childhood friend Kanhaiya, we request you. We will never abuse you in future. If you were intending to go, why did you then save us from the infernal forest fire? Why did you save from the deluging rains? We cannot live without you. Tell us, O benevolent friend, when will you return? Lord Krishna consoled them all and took many of them with him. The chariot began to move. As long as the flag of the chariot remained visible, people kept on crying and wailing. Even the eyes of Akrur filled with tears. Lord asked him, Kaka, why are you weeping? Akrur replied, O Lord, Kasai is the great sinner. I feel he will try to torment you by all means. So, my heart says that I should take you back to Vrindavana. Because if Kasa did any harm to you, their spirits will curse me forever. Akrur has a sight of Lord in four-armed form. Hearing Akrur's words, Lord understood that when he had arrived in Braj, he was afflicted with a feeling of majesty. But now, it has been replaced by affection now. He therefore decided to remove his dilemma. Thus, Lord said to him, Kaka, Mathura is still some distance away. So you take a bath in Yamuna. We brothers are waiting for you in the chariot. As soon as Akrur took a dip in Yamuna, Lord showed him a sight of his abode Vaikuntha and his Narayana's appearance, in which he was holding conch, wheel, mace and lotus in each of his four hands and was lying on the bed of Sheshanaga. With folded hands, Akrur prayed to Lord, O Lord, you are the reason for the existence of Brahma and the universe. O Lord, I pray at your feet again and again. Now I recognize you. You are the one who took the incarnations of Matsya, Kachap, Vara, Narsingh, Vamna, Rama etc. Thus after bath and worship, Akrur returned to the chariot. Lord Krishna understood that now a devotional feeling had arisen in the mind of Akrur for Narayana. Lord asked, Your condition seems miserable. Did you see anything extraordinary underwater? Akrur said, O Lord, now bestow your grace on me. Kindly come to my home and accept my hospitality. Arrival in Mathura. After the departure of Akrur, Nand Baba too set out for Mathura along with the Gopas. On the way itself, they caught up with Krishna and Balram. All of them then reached Mathura together. There they stayed in a garden. After some time, with Nand's permission, both the brothers set out to see the city of Mathura. Mathura was indeed a beautiful town. All the residents of Mathura thronged on roads, roofs and attices to have a sight of Krishna and Balram. Grace on Kubja. On the way, they met a pretty but hunched woman. She introduced herself as Kubja, the maid of Kasa. Her duty was to smear the members of the royal family with sandalwood paste. God asked her if she would smear him with sandal paste. Kubja said, "O Manmohan, I see no one more fitting than you for the sandal paste." Thus she smeared Lord's forehead with saffron. On thou's forehead she smeared musk containing sandal paste. Other Gopas smeared all the remaining sandal paste on their heads. Lord then put his feet on Kubja's and holding her chin gave her head a slight jerk. And in no time, Kubja's hunch was gone and she turned into a pretty woman. She begged Lord for his love. The Lord promised her a meeting in future, and proceeded ahead. Breaking of the bow. After salving Kubja, Lord Krishna and other Gopas moved ahead. At a place they saw a huge bow kept on a high stage. Many strong men were guarding it. Lord entered the canopy and easily lifted the bow and broke it into pieces. There was a big applause from all around. Thou said, "Krishna, now the crowd will increase here, so let us escape in time." Thus, both the brothers and their friends beat a retreat to their camp. There they rested for night. There in Mathura, breaking of the bow had frightened Kasa. He could not sleep during the night. Even in his dreams, he saw nothing but Krishna everywhere around him. Killing of elephant. Early in the morning, Kasa summoned his minister and ordered him to make Kuvlayapid, the elephant, to stand in the center of the main gate. He thought that the elephant would kill both the boys if they dared to enter the fort through main gate. Back there in the garden, Krishna and Balarama set out in wrestlers' guise for the fort. At the gate, seeing an elephant blocking the passage, they asked Mahout loudly, "O Mahout, why have you made the elephant stand in the center of the gate? Move it either ahead or back." But instead of moving the elephant out of the passage, the Mahout steered it right on them. But before elephant could attack them, Balrama caught its trunk, while Krishna caught its tail. Both the brothers then dragged the elephant out of the gate and lofted it in the air. The elephant fell on the ground with a loud thud and died on the spot. Salvation of wrestlers. Kasa felt very nervous by the news of elephant's killing. Before he could take stock of the situation, Lord Krishna and Balaram arrived in the amphitheater. The spectators present in the amphitheater saw Lord as per their feelings. The men folk saw Lord as a jewel among the men. Women folk saw him as an incarnation of Kamdev. Cowherds saw their natural friend in Lord, while to Kasa he appeared as his death. But to his mother and father, Devaki and Vasudeva, and to Nand, Krishna and Balrama appeared as small kids. Sages and ascetics saw nothing but metaphysical coming in boys' guise. Learned one cited his cosmic form, while to Yadavas he appeared as their tutelary god. As soon as the Lord and Balaram arrived in the ring, the wrestlers, who were already present there, stood up like springs. A wrestler Chana dragged Krishna and one named Mushtik dragged Balrama into the ring. They said to them, "Both of you and we are the subjects of the great king Kasa. It is our duty to please our king with our art and skill. Moreover, we will receive many rewards also." Krishna said, "O wrestlers, you please fight among yourselves. We are boys yet, so we shall witness your fight from a distance." Chana said, "No, you are neither boy nor teenagers. You are stronger than the strongest. You have just killed an elephant which was stronger than 1,000 elephants." Thus, both the brothers were compelled to wrestle with the royal wrestlers. Balram beat Mushtik on the ground so hard that he died at once on the spot. Krishna similarly killed second wrestler Chanar. All the remaining wrestlers met similar fate one by one. The massive crowd present there applauded them joyfully. Salvation of Kasa. Seeing the shameful defeat of his wrestlers, Kasai infuriated with anger and proclaimed, "Tie all the opponents, tie Ugrasen, Devaki, Vasudeva and Nand in ropes and bring them before me." Lord Krishna could not tolerate this, and in a single jump, he reached on the stage where Kasa was present. Lord Krishna caught him by hair and said, "O Kasa, once you have caught a helpless woman by hair, I have avenged that insult. Now you will receive the fruits for your atrocities." Saying this, Lord began to twirl Kasa, catching him by hair, and threw him down from the stage. Then Lord jumped once again and landed on the chest of Kasa. Kasa died instantaneously. Thus, Kasa, who was an incarnation of the demon Kalnemi, received salvation. Lord Krishna then released his parents from the prison and crowned his maternal grandfather Ugrasen as the king of Mathura. Yagyapavit of Krishna Balrama. After the successful completion of all the royal ceremonies, the consecration of Krishna and Balram was carried out. Thereafter, they came to stay at the hermitage of sage Sandipni for formal education. Extraordinarily brilliant Krishna successfully learned all the knowledge in short period of time. Then, as Guru Dakshina, paying respect to the teacher, Krishna brought back his dead sons from the abode of Yamaraj, taking convocation bath. Thereafter, Lord Krishna returned to Mathura. There, though living among royal luxuries and grandeur, Lord Krishna remained indifferent. Memory of his sentimental, beloved devotees, friend and other people of Braj kept on pricking him, sending Uddhav as messenger. Savant Uddhav, the son of Yadva's minister Brihaspati, was an intimate friend of Lord Krishna. Only he had the permission to enter Lord's sanctum. Seeing his friend Krishna in remorse, Uddhav asked, "Mathuranath, you seem to be upset. What is troubling you?" Lord Krishna replied, "Uddhav, I feel perplexed. I remember my days in Vrindavana. Please go to Vrindavana and get the news regarding gopis there. Also give them my message." Thus Lord Krishna donned Uddhav in his attire and sent him to Braj in his chariot. There he stayed at Nanda's home. At night, Uddhav inquired about Nanda and Yashoda's well-being and about Braj in general. That whole night passed in chatting.